Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the forecast for November 2024 for each life path number to see how the energies of November could influence you. Before we get into the forecast, this is a general reading. If you would like your own personal reading, your own personal numerology reading, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. I would love to work with you and take a closer look. Also, if you book a year ahead forecast or any reading that has the year ahead forecast included in it, you'll get your year ahead forecast for the rest of 2024 and all of 2025. So this is a great time to book your year ahead forecast if you haven't done so yet. So if you want to do that, you can book some time with me. Again, my information is in the description box below. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these life path numbers for November. Life path number 7, you are going to be working with the vibration of the 26-8 for this November. And you're also going to be working with the energy of the pine marten, which, if you're not familiar with the pine marten, it's like this little creature that looks like a cross between a ferret and a weasel. You can often see them in the wild, sometimes especially like high altitude. Anyway, really cute little creatures. And I want to talk about them because they're also mischievous. So the 26-8, this brings in a karmic cycle. So this can be the beginning of a karmic cycle for you all. This can be the ending of a karmic cycle where maybe, you've been in some kind of relationship or some kind of experience that has been or felt very karmic. Could be very challenging at times, could be a lot of lessons learned in that experience. Doesn't have to be challenging, but a lot of lessons to be learned, a lot of wisdom extracted from those karmic experiences. So you could be closing one of those out at this time. And if you are closing that cycle out, you could see a lot of rewards come in at this time. You could see things kind of ease up. You feel a little bit more free. You feel a little bit lighter. You also see some of those rewards for the effort that you put forth through those soul contracts, whatever that might have been. And then you might have a little bit of a lull at this time before the next karmic cycle comes in for you guys. But for others of you, you might be beginning a new karmic cycle. So you might meet someone at this time who can just impact your life in such a huge transformative way. You might, have some kind of opportunity come up for you that, again, just is very life-changing for you and really shifts your perspective and your experience in such a profound way that it really creates some kind of massive evolution and transformation within you that you couldn't have received that type of up-leveling without that experience, right? And we always hear the word karma and we immediately think negative, but karma doesn't have to be negative, right? And I would say no karma is really negative because there's always something to learn through that experience, which is really kind of the point. And sometimes that karma can actually feel really beautiful, really, really beautiful. You can be connected with someone who's a soul contract that's karmic that really helps you to up level through a lot of love and support and guidance. Or opens your eyes to, things you would not have seen about yourself had you not moved through that experience with that person or had that experience through maybe a job or something like that, right? So it's nothing to fear, karma. It just means that, it's one lesson closes out, one opportunity for growth and wisdom closes out, and another one opens up. And, that's kind of why we're here, to have those experiences, to have those eye-opening experiences and to learn more about ourselves. And you all, more than really anyone, because you're sevens, and so much of your journey is about that greater self-discovery. I mean, every human, that's the journey. But for you all, it's very much the focal point. So you could see people enter your life or leave your life at this time that are those soul contracts that are really here to really teach you something about yourself through your own experiences and your own greater self-discovery. So it's kind of like we hear a lot about like the mirror, right? Like everybody's your mirror. But in reality, it's like, yeah, everybody is reflecting back to you what it is that still needs work, still needs improvement, or where there is something to learn about yourself that you weren't aware of, right? It doesn't always have to be about healing and modification. It can also be about like discovering things about yourself that you would not have discovered about yourself without this other person or this experience, whatever that may be. And sometimes that can open us up to our gifts. I mean, I've had karmic experiences before with catalysts that had I not had those experiences, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing numerology. I mean, I would, but it would have come in some other way. But I can tie it back to very specific karmic experiences that just opened me wide up to this experience, So it can be really, really transformative and beautiful in so many beautiful ways. So this is a big period for that. And it is a longer cycle. It's a month long. So pay attention to who you meet at this time. And it's not to be like overly skeptical of like the people you meet and like, oh my gosh, I don't want more tests or whatever, because like I said, a karmic experience could be connecting with someone who truly sees you and loves you unconditionally, which is very rare in this world, and opens you up to that unconditional love for yourself and for others, right? So it can be so incredibly beautiful, even if that can be challenging, as you move through it. But it's certainly nothing to fear. Anywho, so you all are moving through this very strong karmic cycle at this time. And again, new soul contracts, new business deals or opportunities, some kind of greater potential for greater understanding of self around punny. I'm trying to combine power and money. Around power, money, status, influence, etc. Because ultimately you're working with this vibration of the 8, right? So it's probably gonna bring in some kind of have you kind of look at your relationship to power, status, money, influence. How do you present yourself? Do you have some level of influence or power? How do you use that influence or power? And I would say that we all have some influence of power and influence over someone or something in our life, right? And how do we use that? Are we using it for our own soul, greed and benefits? Or are we using it to uplift, empower, inspire not only self, but others as well? So a lot could kind of come in here to look at. And, how do you feel about money? What does it define you? Or do you see it as a tool to help you to, get by in this world? And what do you do with that money if you have it, right? There's so much that could kind of come in to have you kind of look at where it is that maybe you have some negative or self-defeating thoughts around money, power, status, influence, etc. And this experience can kind of help you open up to where there might need to be some shifts. And so again, some of those karmic experiences coming in could be tied to, again, power, money, status, influence, or relationships, and kind of, all the things that could kind of come up around that. So, and the reason for that, right, is to say, are shifts needed in these areas? And if there are shifts needed, then the 26-8 brings the mirrors to reflect back to us where those shifts are needed and how to move about that, how to make it happen. Beautiful energy for expression, like self-expression, for contracts as well. You could see some contracts come in at this time that need your attention. And I would say just do your due diligence. Just make sure that if you're signing your name to something or you're committing to something long-term, that you're just doing your due diligence to make sure that you're being protected and taken care of as well. But for some of you, contracts could also mean adoption. It could mean marriage, divorce as well. Any kind of contracts, work contracts, or it could be the dissolution of those contracts as well. So a lot kind of coming in. Legal proceedings also kind of come under the spotlight here as well. So ultimately, beautiful energy for, again, like I said, self-expression and greater self-discovery. That's really the focal point of this cycle for you all. And being a 7, this is right up your alley. Now, the pine marten, what's cute about this is, the pine marten is, if you've ever tried to, if you've ever seen a pine marten, they kind of come up and down out of these little holes, right? They'll pop their head up and then they'll go back down and then they'll show up like, I don't know, a few feet away from a different hole, right? They're these little creatures that kind of have tunnels underground. And the reason why I know this is because I used to have one in my backyard when I lived in the mountains, and I do photography, so I was trying to take pictures of them, and they're the most difficult little creatures to take pictures of. And I swear they know what they're doing. Like they're just teasing you just enough to, they'll pose so cute and so beautifully for a picture. And then just when you get ready to take it, they pop back down into their hole, and then they show up somewhere else. And then they look real cute, and then they pop back down, and then they show. So there's this little mischievous little critters, and they're really hard to photograph for one, but and they're adorable. So they have like this, they just have this air about them. They're super cute. They're super mischievous. So there's something here for you all where it could be that someone else is being mischievous and bringing some chaos that you'll need to deal with. But it could also be just a call for you all to kind of let your hair down a little bit. And because this could be a month that, that really does, is deep, right? Is really intense. And so this, with Pine Marten coming through, it's just your reminder to kind of play and to be a little mischievous and, to just run amok a little bit and just have some fun, as long as you're not hurting self or someone else. But it's just this energy, almost like otter energy, where it's like, just make time for play. Don't take things too serious, or don't take things so serious that, you get too up in your head about it. But make that time for play, have fun. And if it's people who are bringing the mischief to you and creating that chaos, just remember, you get to decide how you participate and how you engage, and you can choose to not engage and not participate. So interesting energies, sevens. I hope it's a great November. I think it will be. Take care. Bye for now.